Hey, what's up guys, it's RJHokie, and today I'm going to be bringing you the first video in my Learn How to Edit series on YouTube. Throughout this series, I'm going to be covering programs including Sony Vegas, Adobe After Effects, Camtasia Studio, Cinema 4D, and Photoshop. And I'm going to be bringing you tutorials, tips, and tricks on each one of these different programs. So today I'm going to be going over the basics of Sony Vegas, and I'm going to be teaching you the basic layout of Sony Vegas and the individual components of it, and you will learn how to efficiently use and navigate throughout Sony Vegas. So the first thing you're going to notice is these 5 tabs along here, and the first one is Project Media. Here you will find any media that is already in your project. Right now I don't have any, so there is not anything in there. Next tab is the Explorer tab. Here you can browse through files on your computer and import them into your project. The next tab is the Video Effects tab. Here you will find all of the video effects that come pre-installed with Sony Vegas. You will find a different number of presets for each individual effect that you click on. As you can see, there are different numbers of them. And if you want a basic one that is reset to complete 0 settings, that would be the Reset to None preset. So the next tab is Transitions. Here you will find pretty much the same as video effects, but instead of video effects, obviously it is transitions, but still the same layout. You'll find your different transitions on the left with different presets on the right for each one. Now with transitions there is no reset to none, but you can still edit the transition once you click and drag it onto your media. And the last tab is the Media Generators tab. Here you will basically be able to create pretty much any type of image you want to. You can make checkerboards, color gradients, credit rolls, textures, solid colors, text, stuff like that. So pretty much any type of media that you want to generate, you can just come over to the Media Generators tab and click and drag that onto your timeline, which is this area located down here. You can click and drag that onto your timeline and then edit it from there. So the next thing that you'll notice as soon as you start up Sony Vegas is on the right there will be a preview window. Now when you start Sony Vegas, the preview window will be pretty small. I think maybe about this small, and this timeline will be moved way up here. So what you can do is you can come over here, and as you can see you will find the two horizontal bars with arrows going opposite directions. So you can click down and you can pull this down, and then over here you will find the 2 vertical bars with arrows pointing in opposite directions. You'll be able to pull that to the left, and that will make your screen bigger pretty much. So I'm going to get mine back to where it was. Alright, so there we go. So the next thing I'm going to go over is how to pretty much start off a project, and I'm going to be showing you the best settings for YouTube. Now technically these aren't the best settings, as there is 360p, 480p, 720p HD, 1080p, but then there's also settings called 2K, and I think there is actually one called 4K, which is a even higher quality than 1080p HD. But unless you have like a $15,000 Red One camera, don't worry about using that. And if you don't know what a Red One camera is, then don't worry about that either. Okay, so you're going to want to go to File, New Project, and then here you'll find Video, and then you'll have a bunch of different templates available along here. Now, I would recommend going with 720p HD for YouTube, because 1080p really isn't necessary for any videos, even if you are filming them in 1080. If you are filming in 1080, go ahead and render it out in 1080. You want to select this one if you're shooting in 60 frames per second, and this one if you are shooting in 30 frames per second. But so I'm going to be going with HD 720p 60 frames per second, and the width will be 1280 by 720. That is the basic width and height for 720p HD on YouTube. So pretty much you can leave the rest of this the same. I never really mess around with much of it, but so you're going to want to hit OK. And then so I'm going to come over here, I'm going to import a video into the timeline. So just to give you guys a little just to give you a visualization of what I'm talking about here. So you need to find a file, cross map, no scope, COD 4. I need to get some clips for that actually. I want to try and make a Call of Duty 4 montage in the future. So as you can see where my cursor is right now, you'll have the preview window, and here you will be able to adjust the quality of the preview window. Now you might say, why not just leave it on full quality all the time? Well, the reason for that is because when you have it on full quality and you add a couple effects to it, when you're playing the video back, it might lag a little bit. So let me turn my volume down real quick and I'll show you. So when you play back the video, that's still a little bit loud. So when you hit play down here, it'll play back your video as you have on. And right now I have it on full preview window, and so it's playing back full quality. Now when you move this down to say quarter quality, as you can see the quality obviously worsens, but then when you add more effects, your video won't lag when you try and play it back. Okay, so you have your video on. Now let's go and add some effects, some basic effects. I'll go into more detail on effects in later videos, but so let's just show for example what happens when you bring up the brightness and contrast reset to none. So as you can see here, you will have a bunch of different sliders, and it's pretty much the same interface for each one of the effects, but I'll show you another one which is kind of a different interface than just this basic sliders. So you might just want to change the contrast to make it look a little better in the brightness. And then there is also, so say for example soft contrast, if you want to use that, as you can see here, it is a little bit different layout, a little more I guess streamlined, more advanced looking. I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but so still the basic concept of the sliders, just a little bit different with tabs. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do to cover the complete basics of Sony Vegas is learning the key commands. So by using your scroll wheel and scrolling in, it will zoom in on the timeline, and scrolling out will scroll out. Using the arrow keys, you can go frame by frame, and then by zooming in, you can also by hitting this, you can go frame by frame. Now when you actually use the arrow keys, never mind. When you have it zoomed out and use the arrow keys, it might not go exactly frame by frame. It might skip a couple frames, but when you zoom in, it will go frame by frame with the arrow keys. Okay, so the S key will split your clip in half. So by clicking S on the keyboard, it will split your clip where it is on the timeline into two separate clips. So as you can see here, we have clip 1 and clip 2. Now in the beginning they were one clip, but I had just split them, and that is why they are now in two. Now another thing you can do is if you hit Control Z, it will undo what you've just done, or you can also go to Edit, Undo, which is the same as Control Z. Now to redo, you can hit Control Y, or you can hit Edit, Redo Moves. So I'm going to put it back so that the clips are not split anymore. As you can see there, I hit Control Z a couple times and now they're back together. Now another useful key command is by hitting the U button on your keyboard. It will split the video and the audio. So as you can see, the video and the audio are now not together. They are not combined. When you first import the clip, when you move the audio or the video, the opposite of the other will move with it. And as you can see here, now it doesn't. And this is useful for when montages, you don't always want to have the guy yelling in the background, enemy UAV is up. So you might want to just delete that and throw in some gunshots instead, and there you have it. Okay, so that is pretty much the basic key commands that I use. I'm sure there's probably more, but I do not use them that much. And the last thing you're going to want to do when you are all finished with your project is you're going to want to render it. Now you can either go to Render As or File, Render As. Now these are the best render settings for YouTube for which I have personally seen. You can make templates, which I'll show you in a second, but so you might have to pause the video at this point and look at these and copy these settings down because I'm not going to spend too long on them. But so I want to come down here and check Include Video, frame size, custom frame size 1280 by 720, profile main, frame rate 59.940060. You can also just get away with 59.94, but as you can see right here, you can just click on the drop down and it actually doesn't have it. So you want to type in 59.94 on that. Field order none, progressive scan, pixel aspect ratio 1, number of reference frames 2, variable bitrate checked with the maximum, I'm not really sure what that is, bits per second, I don't know, 14 million, and average 14 million. So you're going to want to go to audio, include audio, sample rate 48,000 hertz, bit rate again 128,000, and then for the project video rendering quality best, stereoscopic 3D mode, use project settings. Most likely you're not going to be filming anything in 3D, but you never know. And before I render this out, I also forgot to show you one thing. If you go to your video and you hit right click, it'll bring up a list of different options you can use for it, and that sorry, I can't talk. And that also applies for the audio. If you hit on the right click on the audio, it'll bring up a different number of options for you. These include cut, copy, delete. You can reverse the clips, stuff like that. And a very helpful thing is if you go to properties, you can go to disable resample, and that pretty much what happens on your clips. It doesn't really apply much to me because of the video recorder I use, but for when I had a EasyCap, now I have HD PVR, but when I had an EasyCap, this really helped out the quality of my videos, because when, say your guy was doing like, he was turning around like 180 degrees, the frames would kind of ghost a little bit, so you'd have like his arm facing one direction and then the other direction, but then after you disable resample, it'll be a lot cleaner and his arm will only be going one direction, so it won't look as ghostly, I guess that's a word. Alright, so that's pretty much it, and let's see, what's that? So that is pretty much it, guys, and so you're going to want to click the button and you can render it out. You can also, I forgot to tell you this, but under custom, if you just type in the name for the template, that is what saves the template for you. So you just want to render this out, and that's about it, guys. So if you enjoyed the video, please check out my channel and like the video and subscribe to me, and be on the lookout for more episodes in my basic how to edit series. Not necessarily basic, but the first couple of videos will be pretty basic like this one. I'll probably be going over the basic layout of Adobe After Effects and Cinema 4D and possibly Photoshop. I'm not too great at Photoshop because I only have Photoshop Elements, but I actually tried the other version of Photoshop, the full version, and I didn't really enjoy it too much, so I think Photoshop Elements is much easier to use. And I am getting off topic now, and I'll get back to that on a separate video. But be on the lookout in the future for more advanced tutorials, some really cool effects for your montage that you might be starting to edit or film. And I'll see you guys later. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.